Welcome back to part 8 of our series on building a trading robot using the Python programming language and the TD Ameritrade API. So I totally forgot in the last video, I don't know how I forgot it. We got a major celebration, so we have to woo, right? We broke 10,000. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? I think that's crazy. It's weird. This is way ahead of schedule, but I think it is crazy when you look at some of the metrics. It's like, is this one? This one. It's like almost 1,300 a month now. It's like that thing really took on a life of its own. I mean, you can, well, it's kind of hard to see at the 90-day one. I was going to say, yeah, here we go. So whatever happened, like around March, it just was like, and then it kind of like went up to its like next little level. But ever since then, it's been like crazy. So I thought pretty cool stuff. It seems like it's doing really well. But again, thank you everybody. This has been awesome to see that people have been receiving it so well. Again, I laugh because I joke with my friends and I'm like, these people want to listen to me ramble. I'm like, they must really be desperate for the coding stuff. Oh no, I can't say that. All right, so we're continuing with our order object. Previous video, we just kind of laid out the foundation of it, and now we're in this process of creating a new trade, which is really like an order. And we're just filling out our dictionary based on information that's passed through by the user. So from here, we've seen already that we kind of have this little standardized template and we're changing it based on the information that the user gave us. So we're going to basically continue on in this, but what we're now going to do is we're going to fill out some of the information that we asked for when we initialized our trade. So for example, we have self, enter, or exit. Well, that's just going to be the argument that you pass through to me. Additionally, we're going to have our side, again, what you pass through to me. And pretty much that's everything. Self.order type, that's going to be the order type that you pass through. And then next, you have price, which is the price you gave me. This is all information that can be used down the road to modify or adjust our orders. It might seem a little bit like, why would you want this? Trust me, you want this. Doesn't mean it can't be simplified potentially, but you do need some type of information. So if order type equal stop or order type equal stop limit, what we're now going to pass through is we're going to say self.stop price equals the price that was passed through, and then else self.stop price equals 0. And really what I should also have here, and I'm looking at it now, I'm sure it's going to be somewhere down here, I should have a stop limit price. Again, if I really want to be consistent here, I shouldn't assume that I'm not going to want to use that somewhere down the road. So I'll also put in the stop limit price. Well, no, because see, this could get problematic. No, you don't actually need that because that's going to be your price here. This needs to be, you can't do that. You're going to have to do an elif. This one should really be if the order type equals stop limit, if the order price equals, what is it, stop limit, then the stop price is going to be that. And then this one is going to be the stop limit price. That one will be what is passed through. So again, this is just if down the road we need something, we already have it kind of predefined and we're not having to guess and do all this extra logic because we didn't do it, when it was probably easiest to do it. Okay, so that's kind of our little stop price. So this is really just, store important info for later use. That's kind of what I think about it as. Okay. And then from here, okay, self is enter or exit equals enter. Then what we're going to do is self enter or exit opposite equals exit. And then we're basically just kind of flip-flopping these ones. This one, you know, again, it probably could be a little bit more simplified, but for right now, I just wanted to be a little bit just mentally easier on myself, if that's the best way to say it. Store important side info. And then same here is it's going to be if self dot side equals long. Then guess what? The side opposite is going to equal short. And then elif self dot side equals short. Then self dot side opposite equals long. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So this is, again, just storing information for later use. All right, next method. So this one, long, but all we were doing is kind of just defining a basic template. Next one is going to be our instrument. So this one is going to take a couple arguments. First one's going to be the string of a symbol. Next one will be quantity. That will be an int. Next one will be the asset type. That will also be a string. The other one will be sub-asset type. This one actually is not, in fact, this is pretty much rarely used. So that one you can actually have as none, but in some cases it's good to have it. And then the final one will be our order leg ID. That will be an int and it will initialize to 0. And then this one will be the dictionary. Oh, and this one reminds me, we need to return self.order. Okay, so the first things first is going to be grabbing the leg. And so the leg will be self.order. It's going to be order leg collection. And then it's going to be the order leg ID. And so from here, you can obviously see if it was just a single order leg, then all it's going to return is this guy right here. Because remember, order leg collection is simply a list. We slice that list or we index that list to return the specific element that we want. So this is going to return leg 0 if you don't give me order leg ID. If you have a multi-leg order ID and you gave me, say, 1, then really what you're telling me is that this order leg should have 1 leg and then there should also be another leg. And so say, for example, that on this particular argument, you gave me a 1, then I'm going to return the second leg, because remember, we count starting from 0. So I have an order leg. What do I need to do? Well, the first thing is I'm going to start modifying some of the information in it. So the first thing is I'm going to modify that symbol. That's just going to be the symbol you gave me. The next one is going to be the instrument. And then there's going to be an asset type. And then this one, well, that's just going to be that asset type that you pass through to me. And then finally, you're going to give me that quantity. Well, I'm just going to pass that through and put that right in there. And then finally, we're going to have a self.order size. And then that will also be quantity. And then we're going to have self.symbol. That's going to be symbol. Wait, did I spell that wrong? Oh, no, I did that. I didn't have it up there. That's going to be symbol. And then next is going to be asset type. That's going to be the asset type. So there is one thing I still have to technically add here. That is sub asset type. So that one I'm still doing a little bit more research on. I mean, I really don't need to do research on it, but I just haven't built in the logic yet to add it. It's actually pretty straightforward. You just make it super simple, but that one I still have to add in. But just keep in mind for instrument, you don't have to pass through. In fact, you're going to rarely pass it through. Most time you're not going to need it. But in those special cases that you do, the logic will be set up where it can handle that. And so that's all. Next, we're going to return our leg once we do it. So that's our instrument. So that also kind of brings me to another thing, which is I might rename this just to, think about it. But for right now, I haven't, because, I think it's like down below. I'll start actually change it a little bit, where I think I have one that like I'm explicitly saying like modify leg, and there I'm like super explicit. I'm like, no, if you want to do this one, like you're saying specifically you want to modify a leg. So, it is there a little bit. Next one we're going to do is we're going to do a good till cancel. So this is if you want, so you don't have to use this, but if you want, you can make your order a good till cancel. And so this one will return none. It will take one argument, cancel time, which is a date time. So what that means is we're now going to change the duration of our order from, what is it? We have our default one up here is day, and now it's going to be good till cancel. So now we're changing that. Next, we're going to have order. It's going to be cancel time. This one will be cancel. It's going to be cancel time. And then if it's a date time, guess what? We just need to provide the ISO format string. And so that's already a built-in method. So it makes our lives really easy. So this is our method for making it a good till cancel and making sure it's standardized too, because that's very important. Next, we're going to have another one called modify side. This one is basically saying side. This is actually an optional one. It's going to be a string. And then we're going to have a leg ID, which is an int equals 0. And actually, just to make it consistent, we'll do order leg ID. And then this one will also return none. So this is going to modify a side for a particular one if we want. So this one is actually a little bit of an interesting one, because I do have a little bit extra logic here where I say, hey, if side and side not in, by, sell short, by to cover, then what I'll do is I raise an error. So I'll say raise value error, and then I have like a little message, you pass an invalid side, something like that. And I don't remember exactly what I had on it. And then from there, that's again if you pass through the incorrect one. If we have a side, then all I do is I say self.side, and then we're going to do order leg collection. And then we're going to say order leg ID, which is default to 0. Instructions equals the side. And then, this one needs to also be upper. It's also very important as well. And then else, if you don't actually pass it through, then what I basically assume is you want the opposite side that you currently have. So if you don't pass anything through, all I do is I say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to assume that you just want the opposite side that you currently have. So I'll say self.order instructions, and then it's going to be self, enter or exit, and then self.side opposite. So that's why this stuff really comes in handy. It's a lot easier to just store that stuff in the beginning than trying to infer it down the road and having these really messy stuff, doing it 9 different times. So that is why I was defining that stuff, because otherwise it becomes a mess, an absolute mess. That is all I am going to say on that one, because otherwise it gets messy really quick. And then you'll see here, it's also going to return, obviously, the stuff from the dictionary as well. So that's obviously very important as well. But this is just an easy way where if they want to modify that side, super quick, it's not too complicated, and it does it kind of for them. Alrighty, next we're going to have add box range. What does that mean? Well, basically it means you want to have a basically like a take profit order and then a stop loss order as well. So with this one, I asked for a couple different arguments. One is the profit size. And then this one is I'm saying, okay, well, give it to me. But then you also have to tell me if it's going to be a percentage or not, because some people will also, what is the word? They will actually, what is it? They'll have like a profit that's actually below one. So I can't just assume it's always, what is it? A percentage. And then the next one is stop limit. That one's a Boolean. Again, this makes more sense when we kind of walk through it a little bit. So with this one, first thing we're going to do is we're going to say if not self, trigger added. So if it's not a trigger order, well, guess what? We have to convert that to a trigger order, but we haven't defined that wonderful argument or that particular method. So right now it's going to return a syntax error. But once we do add it, we're going to say, okay, self.add take profit. And then this will be the profit size. And then this will be a profit size. And then it will be the percentage and the percentage. So really what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be basically defining these three different methods. And it's kind of just breaking it all down, so we're not all having to do it in one particular method. And then ideally we can now use this logic at different points. So we're going to add a take profit, and then we're going to have if not stop limit. Then we're going to say self.add stop loss. And then with this one, it's going to be what is it? Sorry, it's not that one. It's going to be stop size is going to be the profit size. And then percentage is percentage. So when I'm talking like a box range, I mean like specifically a box, right? So your profit and your stop is the same, basically the same size. So really what you'll probably see me do is I might rename this to direction size to be a little bit more ambiguous. I'm not saying it's profit. I'm not saying it's a stop. I'm saying, this is kind of what it is. Now, if we do add stop limit, then I'm going to have to build in some logic where we add a stop limit, which is going to basically, God, that would be a messy. See, that's the one I have to still kind of think through, because it's like, you're going to have to add another argument because you'd have to have a limit size in it, I guess. Well, no, you'd have to probably add it, but that's kind of the idea behind the box range one. Is it's assuming it's a stop loss and a take profit, but I'm still kind of working on it to make it where it would also take in some other information as well. So that's ideally to make it a little bit easier. Okay, so I'm going to cut it here. So yes, I think at this point I've done enough. Just to kind of recap, we added some more information to our new trade method. Really, this is just kind of saving information down the road, so that way when we add or modify our trade, it's a little bit easier to do so. Additionally, we talked about adding an instrument. So this one is where we're basically going and we're adding a specific instrument to a particular order leg ID. And then additionally, we talked about making it a good till cancel order. We talked about a modified side method, which will modify the existing side to be basically the opposite one, or if you pass something through, that will also be there as well. And then finally, we talked about the box range. So the box range one is making it where you add a stop loss order and a take profit order to that order. So you kind of protect yourself, right? Because we know with this take profit, we don't want to be too greedy, but then we also don't want to take on too much risk by not having a stop loss to kind of protect ourselves ideally. So that's kind of where we're at now. In our next video, we're really going to kind of start defining this logic down here. We'll see that's a little bit more complicated. It's not really complicated, but it's just, extra steps you kind of have to walk through. But as always, if you have any questions at this point, by all means, put them down in the comments below, and I will do my best to get back to you. That's unfortunately the sad part about the channel growing. That's probably the saddest part, is it's getting progressively more harder to respond to everybody. I get so many emails every day. It's ridiculous. So yeah, if I don't respond right away, I'm sorry. It's just I get overwhelmed with emails, so I have to kind of prioritize them. But yeah, thanks again for watching, everybody. We'll see you in video number 9.